The American Revolution, a pivotal moment in world history that reshaped nations, inspired movements, and ignited the flame of liberty. But how did it begin? What forces and events culminated in the 13 colonies' decision to break away from the British Empire? Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into one of the most important events in the history, the American Revolution. But before the battles, the iconic Boston Tea Party, and the signing of the Declaration of Independence, there were decades of tensions and conflict. In this video, we will explore the key causes that sparked the revolution and ultimately led to the birth of a new nation. Number 1. Economic grievance and no taxation without representation. One of the most significant causes of the American Revolution was economic tension. By the mid 17th, the British Empire had become one of the largest and wealthiest powers in the world. To maintain this empire, the British government needed money, and the American colonies were a convenient source of revenue. In 1765, Britain passed the Stamp Act, which required the colonies to pay a tax on almost every printed items, from newspaper to legal documents. This was followed by the Sugar Act in 1764, which taxed goods like molasses and sugar imported into the colonies. And then came the Townshend Acts of 1767, which imposed duties on a variety of goods including glass, tea, and paper. These taxes were seen as unfair because the colonies had no direct representation in the British Parliament. Colonists began to rally around the slogan of no taxation without representation, demanding a voice in the laws and taxes that were affecting their daily lives. Without representation in the British government, they argued they should not be taxed. The idea of no taxation without representation became a rallying cry for the colonists, and it was not just about taxes, it was about the broader principle of self governance. The colonists were beginning to question the legitimacy of British control over their lives and livelihoods. Segment 2. British military presence and the Intolerable Acts. As tensions between the colonies and Britain increased, so did the presence of British soldiers. Following events like the Boston Slaughter in 1770, where British troops killed 5 during a protest, the colonists felt increasingly oppressed by the British military. The soldiers were not only present to enforce laws but were often seen as a symbol of oppression. Then came the Boston Tea Party in 1773, a direct response to the Tea Act, which gave the British East India Company a monopoly on tea in the colonies. In protest, a group of colonists dressed as Native Americans boarded British ships and dumped over 300 chests of tea into Boston Harbor. In retaliation, the British government passed the Corsive Acts, also known as the Intolerable Acts. These were a series of punitive measures aimed at punishing Massachusetts, particularly Boston, for the destruction of the tea. These laws shut down Boston's port, revoked Massachusetts' charter, and gave the British governor more control over the colony. The Intolerable Acts united the colonies in a sense of shared grievance. Other colonies sent aid to Massachusetts, and in 1774, the First Continental Congress convened in Philadelphia to coordinate a response. This was the first real step toward colonial unity and the beginning for the push for independence. Segment 3. The Enlightenment and Ideas of Self-Governance. Beyond the economic and political grievance, there was also growing intellectual movements in the colonies that questioned traditional system of authority. The Enlightenments, which had swept through Europe, began influencing American colonists. Thinkers like John Locke promoted ideas of natural rights, life, liberty, and property, which inspired many American leaders. Locke argued that governments exist to protect the natural rights of citizens, and if a government becomes tyrannical, the people have the right to overthrow it. Similarly, philosophers like Montesquieu and Rossi discussed the separation of powers and the importance of democracy, ideas that would later be reflected in American political system. These Enlightenment ideas were not just abstract concepts, they provided the ideological foundations for colonists. Rebellion at this site, the British monarchy had become tyrannical and violated their natural rights to see independence not just as a political necessity but as a moral duty. Segment 4. Escalating conflicts and the road to war. By 1775, the situation had reached a boiling point. Skirmishes between colonial militias and British troops broke out at Lexington and Concord, the first battle of the American Revolution. The so-called short-haired round the world marked the beginning of open conflict. At this point, the colonists were not just protesting British policies, they were fighting for their right to self-determination. The Continental Congress had already begun organizing a Continental Army led by General George Washington in preparation for full-scale war. So as you can see, the causes of American Revolution were complex and multifaceted. They were rooted in economic struggles, political frustrations, intellectual movements, and the escalating conflicts between colonists and British authorities started as a series of protests against unfair taxes turned into a full-scale fight for independence and self-governance. The American Revolution was more than just a war. It was a revolution in ideas, a transformation that gave birth to a new nation the United States of America, founded on principles of liberty, democracy, and the belief that peoples have the right to govern themselves. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep into the causes of the American Revolution, make sure to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. And as always, leave your thoughts in the comments. What do you think were the most important causes of American Revolution? Let's talk about it. And we will see you in the next video.